again. Harry is in a position now where he is conflicted about his life with Meghan, not sure about moving forward with her. And I think he needed a motherly person, someone to give him some advice. Of course, he couldn't go to Doria, right? This is exactly what it was. He was there trying to get some advice about some choices, decisions that he is going to have to make about his marriage. And whether you want to recognize it or not, or just say, well, I support my wife, deep down, alone at night, when you are with your own thoughts and that woman is off snoring away.
They once vowed to reshape history, yet now it seems they can't even manage the narrative of their own marriage. Imagine tallying in your mind everything that has slipped away. Your standing, your family ties, even your future. What comes next? Where are you headed? For Harry, critics suggest there is no clear path forward. For years, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry seemed to embody the dream pairing, as if destiny had arranged their meeting. Their connection wasn't merely romance, it was a carefully woven tale, a blend of royal prestige and Hollywood allure. Each public outing had a magnetic quality, drawing eyes and ears, as though the glow surrounding them could not be dimmed. They weren't just partners, they carried with them the hopes of those who longed to see a modern fairy tale succeed. There's more to that narrative than can be fully unpacked in one sitting, but it now appears that very myth is being used as a shield to push back against critical stories in the press. Some commentators have even labeled the response to one such article as strange, almost surreal. Fairy tales rarely collapse in one sudden, loud moment. Instead, they tend to erode slowly, piece by piece, in ways so understated they might be missed at first glance. That's what observers say happened on a particular day when Harry stood at a podium. With microphone in hand, he was delivering a speech in the assured, polished way he has grown accustomed to. His voice was steady, his presence commanding the image of confidence. And then Meghan arrived. No grand announcement, no planned cue, just her signature stride and presence. She lightly tapped him on the back, a gesture so minor it could have gone unnoticed. Yet in that instant, everything shifted. Harry's tone wavered, his focus slipped, and the flow of his speech faltered. A tiny moment, yet it was as though the atmosphere in the room had changed. Reports around that time included denials of workplace allegations and statements that certain quotes being circulated were inaccurate. Still, the focus among the public wasn't on paperwork or emails. It was on the glance, the pause, the disruption on stage. At first glance, it was trivial, a wife touching her husband's back, something couples do daily. But because it happened under glaring lights, in front of cameras and an eager audience, it was magnified into something far more symbolic. Within hours, the short clip spread across social media, dissected frame by frame as if it were evidence in a mystery. Viewers slowed it down, scrutinizing every flicker of Harry's eyes, every fraction of a second that he hesitated. It didn't matter that the moment was shorter than a blink in the grand scheme of things. To online commentators, it was a window into the deeper dynamics of their relationship. Some interpreted Meghan's action as a display of authority. Others claimed Harry appeared diminished or unwilling to be interrupted. What might have been nothing more than a touch was reframed as a power play, the so-called tap heard around the world. The couple, for years, have been meticulous about how they present themselves. Every smile, every glance, every handhold carefully curated to give the impression of unity and strength. Yet here was a fleeting moment that couldn't be scripted, couldn't be spun, and it exposed something raw. It looked unpolished, unrehearsed, and for that reason, some began to wonder whether cracks were starting to show through the carefully built image. Behind the curtain, sources allege, this wasn't just a casual touch. It symbolized the ongoing tug-of-war that has reportedly intensified between the two. While in public, Meghan and Harry have always projected a united front, insiders claim the private reality is different. It described less as a harmonious partnership and more as an ongoing contest of wills. Meghan has long been known as someone who strategizes every move. She thrives when she's steering the narrative, from fashion choices to causes they support, down to the exact framing of headlines. For her, this isn't vanity but survival. Precision is necessary because any slip invites a storm of criticism. Allowing mistakes isn't an option. Harry, in contrast, is said to be more spontaneous, valuing sincerity over polish. He wants to speak freely, joke naturally, and be less confined by scripts. For years, he seemed willing to let Meghan guide the process, but lately, those close to him say he's stepping back. He seeks moments that feel authentic, even if they're messy, even if they don't photograph perfectly. This difference in approach creates tension. Meghan's gentle tap on stage was read by many as her attempt to move things along to maintain control. But Harry's hesitation suggested resistance, and in that split second of pause, observers saw the reflection of a bigger story. A push and pull, authority meeting reluctance. To the average viewer, it might have looked like a stumble, but to those watching closely, it was a glimpse of a silent struggle. Meghan aims to lead firmly, while Harry increasingly yearns for space. Together, these clashing instincts create sparks in even the smallest gestures. The issues, friends say, aren't explosive arguments or shouting matches. Instead, it's the silence, the unspoken distance that can grow between two people under pressure. Reports whisper about long pauses at the dinner table, of evenings spent together in the same room but separated by invisible walls. It begins small, according to insiders. A disagreement over which images to release to the press, a debate over whether to reveal more in an interview, even something trivial, like who should take the driver's seat. Each quarrel is minor, but in an environment where everything is scrutinized, even petty disagreements begin to maw. Over time, eye rolls become full debates, sighs escalate into tension, and silence stops feeling peaceful. It starts feeling like avoidance. Harry has often played the role of peacemaker, the one to tell a joke, pour the drinks, and bring back the warmth when things get cold. But recently, reports claim his patience is thinning, that effortless charm seems worn down. Meanwhile, Meghan has doubled her efforts to maintain order. She insists on the polished version of life because she knows how swiftly a single error can snowball online. And that, critics suggest, is the true danger. Their life together isn't just about marriage anymore. It's about maintaining an image, a brand that must remain intact at all costs. They are not just a couple. They are a business empire. And the strain of living inside that brand follows them even behind closed doors. Every venture they undertake, from documentaries to speaking engagements, depends on the perception of unity. Their personal relationship has been absorbed into a commercial product. Meghan approaches this like a chief executive, thinking not just about today, but about legacy, while Harry is increasingly restless under the performance. He craves authenticity, even if it means imperfection. And so the struggle continues. Meghan sees tight control as protection. Harry sees it as suffocation. For years, he aligned with her vision, believing in their joint mission. Now, those closest to him whisper, he wonders if the brand they've built is swallowing the very marriage it was meant to support. When every disagreement has the potential to impact deals, sponsorships, or public standing, even minor differences take on outsized meaning. Staff notice the tension. Business partners sense it. Fans pick up on it. Smiles seem more rigid, chemistry more staged. What was once natural affection now looks calculated. And when Riage and business intertwine, something eventually has to give. Harry has never been the type to make dramatic stands or deliver ultimatums. His way of pushing back is quieter, subtler, almost invisible unless you're paying close attention. But when you zoom out, the picture becomes clearer. It often starts in small ways. A skipped briefing here, a canceled rehearsal there. Meghan expects him to be prepared, polished, camera ready. Yet Harry occasionally shows up late, forgets lines, or chooses not to stick to the agreed script. To him, it isn't sabotage, it's honesty. He doesn't want to perform the role of perfect prince if it feels artificial. For him, letting his guard down is a way to stay true to himself, even if it frustrates those managing the brand. Friends close to the couple claim Harry has begun carving out pockets of independence. He reconnects with military friends in private calls, sometimes takes trips without Meghan's team managing the optics, and increasingly keeps a bit of distance in body language. Hands folded, gaze lowered, or stepping just a beat behind her during appearances. Gestures so subtle they could be dismissed, yet to seasoned observers, they tell a story. Meghan, of course, notices. Every pause feels like defiance. Every unapproved remark risks puncturing the carefully crafted image. For her, this is more than a marriage. It's their livelihood, their legacy, which is why insiders suggest she presses even harder for control, and the harder she presses, the more Harry leans back. It plays out like a quiet dance. Meghan advancing, Harry retreating, not in loud arguments or stormy exits, but in understated refusals, private resistance, and long silences. He longs for space. She refuses to loosen her grip. To Meghan's credit, determination has always been part of her character. She built her career through persistence in the face of rejection, and she faced relentless palace scrutiny with the same grit. That drive, which once propelled her through Hollywood and royal life, now fuels her approach to marriage. In her mind, hesitation is dangerous. One slip could topple everything: the documentaries, the publishing deals, the speaking tours. Their unity must appear flawless because so much rests on perception. That's why Harry's reluctance feels to her like more than fatigue. It feels like a threat. If he hesitates, if he refuses, the entire structure they've built wobbles. Admirers call Meghan resilient, protective, and forward-thinking, always safeguarding her family's future. Critics, however, see a controlling partner who leaves no room for Harry's individuality. This is where their dynamic becomes volatile. Meghan moves forward like a fast-moving train, strategizing, planning, shaping. Harry slows down, yearning for authenticity, craving a pause from the constant performance. Together, these opposite instincts pull them further apart. For most couples, minor disagreements fade quickly. A sideways glance, a muttered word, or an eye roll disappears into memory. But for Meghan and Harry, nothing is forgotten. Every moment is captured in photographs or videos, magnified by millions of eyes online. A slight hesitation at a charity gala becomes a viral clip suggesting marital discord. Meghan nudging Harry on stage sparks debates about dominance. Harry smiling too warmly at someone else fuels theories that he's unhappy at home. Even small gestures morph into evidence. Their private frustrations are never private for long. They become global talking points. Meghan's decisiveness is praised by supporters as leadership, but reframed by critics as domineering. Harry's silence is seen by admirers as dignity, but twisted by skeptics into weakness. And in this relentless cycle, speculation fuels itself. Insiders say the toll is visible behind the curtain. Harry has reportedly sought therapy once again, trying to manage the conflict between in public duty and private strain. Meghan, rather than stepping back, doubles down on strategy, determined to keep every aspect of their image under tight control. The cycle repeats. The more they try to fix perception, the more attention they attract, and the more their marriage itself feels like it's caught in a spotlight with no off switch. Still, it's not about a lack of love. Observers who know them insist that the affection remains. Harry still leans toward Meghan in unguarded moments. She still fixes his tie before major appearances. These gestures reveal tenderness that hasn't vanished. But that affection now lives under the weight of enormous pressure, buried beneath public expectations and the demands of their brand. The spark that once made them magnetic now feels heavy. Their easy laughter is replaced by careful lines. Their chemistry, once natural, now seems deliberate, like choreography designed not to misstep in front of cameras. What once felt untouchable now looks rehearsed. Supporters argue that this is simply a difficult phase. Every marriage faces turbulence. Theirs just happens under extraordinary scrutiny. But critics point to the cracks as proof that the fairy tale was always fragile, destined to bend under the weight of public life. The couple that promised to rewrite the rules now appear to be struggling to rewrite their own rhythm. The deeper pain lies in how public it all is. A smile that seems forced, a glance that drifts away, or a pause that lasts a second too long. Every detail is dissected as though it holds the answer to their future. In ordinary circumstances, such moments would vanish. But when you live on a global stage, every flicker becomes evidence. Every hesitation becomes prediction. Insiders emphasize that this isn't the end, but it is a crossroads. The marriage is not broken, but it is strained, leaning precariously under the burden of its own visibility. The question now is whether they can find alignment again, or if the story that once promised transformation is quietly unraveling under its own weight. Harry's quiet resistance is not loud rebellion. He isn't storming away or issuing ultimatums. Instead, it surfaces in subtle choices. A meeting skipped, a speech delivered with less polish, a refusal to memorize lines written for him. Meghan wants him perfectly prepared, but Harry sometimes resists, letting things unfold naturally. To him, it's not undermining, it's authenticity. He no longer wants to play the flawless prince if it means wearing a mask. Those close to the couple claim he's also reclaiming fragments of his independence. He reconnects with old army comrades, organizes private calls, and occasionally takes steps without Meghan's PR oversight. Observers note his body language tells its own story, standing slightly behind her, crossing his arms, or averting his gaze. These might seem insignificant, but together, they hint at distance. Meghan notices, of course. For her, every moment Harry strays from the script is a risk to the image they've built. A brand worth millions relies on appearances of unity. When Harry resists, Meghan reportedly pushes harder, determined to keep the presentation flawless. The harder she pushes, the more he resists, creating a cycle neither seems able to escape. It's a struggle not of shouting, but of silence. Meghan advancing, Harry retreating, Meghan scripting, Harry unscripted. She believes relentless control is the only way forward, while he longs for space and spontaneity. To Meghan, the stakes are high. Her entire life has been about perseverance, about forcing open doors that seemed closed. From Hollywood auditions to royal scrutiny, she's fought for every step. That same drive now shapes her marriage. She believes any pause, any moment of weakness could endanger the empire they've built. Documentaries, contracts, partnerships, all tied to their perceived unity. Harry, however, interprets the same actions as suffocating. He wants moments unchoreographed. An unscripted laugh, a speech from the heart, a night without cameras. For him, perfection feels like a performance he never agreed to audition for. This clash defines their current dynamic. Meghan sees control as survival. Harry sees it as a cage. For years, he bent toward her approach, convinced of their shared mission. But now, whispers from friends suggest he fears their brand has begun to swallow their bond. Every disagreement risks more than a quarrel. It threatens a business empire. Staff sense it, sponsors detect it, and even loyal fans comment that their smiles seem stiffer, their chemistry less genuine. That's the paradox. Their marriage is no longer only personal. It has become a commercial entity, a joint venture. And when love and business mix so closely, the balance is hard to keep. Someone always ends up losing. Observers note Harry's resistance is growing more visible, whether it's small delays, clumsy speeches, or declining to follow carefully laid talking points, he shows signs of stepping back. Meghan, in contrast, leans further into strategy, insisting that nothing can slip. Admirers describe her as determined and protective. Critics call her demanding and unyielding. Both agree she refuses to loosen her grip. Still, affection hasn't disappeared. Glimpses remain. Harry leaning toward Meghan at quieter moments, Meghan instinctively adjusting his suit before an appearance. Yet these flashes are overshadowed by tension. Their natural spark has dimmed, replaced by deliberate coordination. Instead of flowing together, they now appear cautious, as if one wrong move could unravel everything. To supporters, this is simply another chapter, a period of struggle in a relationship that has already endured extraordinary challenges. To critics, it is confirmation of long-standing doubts, evidence that the fairy tale was destined to falter. The most striking element, however, is how visible it all is. Every pause, every fork, Ed's smile, every fleeting glance is captured, shared, and analyzed. What for other couples would vanish is for them magnified into prophecy. And in that magnification, even minor signs of strain feel monumental. The marriage is not gone, but it teeters. It leans under pressure, fights against expectation, and risks being consumed by the weight of its own public stage. The lingering question is whether they can rediscover their rhythm or whether we are watching the slow unraveling of a partnership that once promised to redefine everything